Hello, welcome back to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I am your host, as always, the mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendeca. With me, as always, my co-host, the Merkzone, Mike Merkel.
I'm here.
He's here, he's dying, he's choking. We're all good.
I was choking a little bit.
We have so much to go over this week, guys. Big news coming out of East Lansing. Obviously, Mark D'Antonio resigns. And now you have a brand new football coach in Mel Tucker out of Colorado. We're going to hit on that at the beginning of the show. And then we're going to go right into another edition of the Merkzone Mock Draft. A lot of great feedback coming from that. We are your central hub. If you want to know what's going on in the latest mock draft, you want to know where the most experts are predicting that where the Lions go, and where hopefully the top 10 or 15 goes, this is the place to be. Do not miss it. We have a mock draft going every single week until the draft. I'm sure these will get shaken up quite a bit after free agency hits here in the next month or so. After that, after the break, we are going to talk NCAA March Madness. I cannot believe it. It's right around the corner. We're going to hit on that. We're going to talk about the top couple seeds as well as your projected outcomes for your Spartans and Wolverines, respectively. Then we're going to jump to the NBA right after the All-Star break here. We're checking in, seeing who is a playoff contender and who is a playoff pretender. And then we're going to end the show today talking a little bit of wrestling, more specifically around the WWE Network. And whether or not it's still worth to have it, we're going to tell you why and explain. Lots of great stuff to go over today, Mike, so let's just jump right in head first, talk about the biggest news coming out of at least the state here. We're obviously not Michigan State fans, right? We're Wolverine fans, but at the same time, this is big news for anybody. Michigan State, Michigan, even college football, I would say, as a whole. Mark D'Antonio officially retires last week, and now we have a new football coach after, some hit or misses there on the Michigan State side. They lose out on Luke Fickell. They tried to interview Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator from San Francisco. Those both kind of were swinging and misses. Even the guy they wind up hiring, Mel Tucker, the former coach out of Colorado, he would even turn them down originally. They kind of swung back around, paid him double the money, and now all of a sudden he's happy to be a Spartan. Just before we talk about the new coach, just give me, what do you think, what was your reaction when D'Antonio retired? And then also, what do you think Mark D'Antonio's legacy within Michigan State is?
My reaction was shocked at the time that he did it.
Right.
As in a day before National Signing Day.
Yeah, which is weird.
Because you want to at least stay during that time and do it at least a couple of days after. Make sure you get all the signings before you leave.
Yeah.
So it was weird timing. I think his legacy will be he was one of the best coaches. He's easily the best Michigan State coach ever.
Yes, absolutely.
I think he was, in general, one of, you go up against Michigan State, either out of conference or in conference, and you go, we're playing D'Antonio in state. Not an easy out.
Yeah, there's always a potential. Right?
Yeah, there's always played up. Yeah, they always played up to good teams.
Yep.
Bad teams, they just did their thing. They never played down, but they weren't always as great against the bad teams.
Yeah.
Got upset a few times, but winning the Big Ten in 2013 and playing Alabama in that
the college
Final Four.
Listen, they got to the Final Four, right?
Yep.
You got a Rose Bowl to your name, right? That's especially in the state of Michigan for whatever reason. That's the if you're not going to win the national title, you better win the Rose Bowl kind of thing. I think you hit it spot on, right? Clearly the best coach ever to coach at Michigan State, right? He's come out and said afterwards that there was talk of him coming back this year and retiring after this season. I think that there was a little bit of pressure from the school to kind of be like, listen, dude, you got to make some changes staff-wise. And I don't think he really wanted to do that. I think he thought that they could pull themselves out of whatever funk they've been in for the past couple of years. So clearly they were not happy with his potential trajectory for the team this year. So because of that, I think he just kind of went, all right, I'm done. I'm kind of out. But clearly the best coach Michigan State's ever had. A tremendous run there. I mean, the dominance over Michigan alone is pretty damn impressive. A couple really big wins over Ohio State, both on the road. Obviously, when you think D'Antonio, you think great defense. You know what I mean? Clearly. Former defense coordinator for Ohio State, obviously. Really just, put together one hell of a resume. I don't think he ended the way he wanted to, especially these couple of years. This year, we went into the season thinking that defense was going to be right up to the top of the league, and it wasn't. Injuries and the fact that the offense couldn't stay on the field for more than 5 minutes at a time. But clearly one of the best coaches, in Michigan State history. I don't think he'll ever be forgotten. And I think Michigan State fans, for as much maybe uncertainty and anger you may have at him for not making staff changes, you also have to go back and you have to really understand where your program was before Mark D'Antonio. And whether right now it's at its peak or not, the fact that you guys reached the level that you did is something to really be admired and appreciated. So really need to look back on that. Let's talk about the new guy though, Mel Tucker, Colorado, former head coach. I think he went 5-7 last year.
He did.
He's a graduate assistant at one point at Michigan State. He's coached at Ohio State before. He coached under Nick Saban. There's a lot of good things I'm hearing about him. He's a great recruiter. I think he got like the 35th ranked recruiting class this past year for Colorado. Mm-hmm. So, it's Colorado. What your thoughts on him getting the nod, especially after Luke Fickell, who we all kind of presumed was going to be their number one choice, kind of said, I'm going to stay at Cincinnati. Thoughts on the hire, good move, okay move, kind of a fail-safe?
Yeah. I don't love the move, and I think that when you have a team, you should get the head coach that's opposite of your strength. Mm-hmm. And so State goes, okay, our strength is defense. Right. So I think that you should have gotten an offensive-minded coach to help that side of the ball because you can keep that defense strong with hiring a good DC or keeping your DC, whichever one you want to choose. Keep that defense strong. And then you can be the offensive guy to really help the offense go up. Right. And especially because it's transcending into an offensive style league where you have teams like Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama who can put up 50 points easily on you. Or Oklahoma or whatever. Right. The top 10 teams in the league all can put up 50 plus points. And you're down here, you're like, all right, we're going to try to play.
Yeah, we're going to try ground and pound. And we've seen even Michigan this year, made the change. They hired Josh Gaddis and they said, all right, we can't keep up. Yeah. So we have to be able to
score. Yeah. Right. So I just think that it was almost a bad call to get a defensive guy, even though I do like the recruiting. I do like that he has a lot of past experience and everything,
especially in the Big Ten,
in the Big Ten and stuff. Yeah. But I just think that when you look at the team and you go, okay, I think the Lions, you went 9-7. And you were like, our offense is good. We just need to get that defense up. That's where you get a defensive guy to help that side. No. I think that you should. Well,
you're right. Yeah.
You go. Okay, everyone's praising this defense, and the problem is the offense can't score more than 10 points in the game.
Yes.
But then you're like, all right, but we're going to get a defense guy to really help out our defense.
Especially because Lewerke's gone, so you got a new quarterback now this year, right? Well, I'm assuming it's not going to be that Rocky McIntosh guy. I would respect.
I thought it was going to be like Lombardi.
Yeah, maybe, but so somebody you can go, okay, let's groom a guy. Yeah. Right? I don't think that's bad. I think the perception of missing out on your top target. This hire feels to me a lot like when Brady Hoke got hired. Mm-hmm. It's because when Brady Hoke got hired, he was not the top choice. The top choice was Jim Harbaugh, but Harbaugh went to San Francisco. So it was kind of one of those things where Michigan at the time went, we're going to try what we can to go get Jim Harbaugh. He's leaving Stanford. He's the hottest coach out there. We want to bring him back. And he went to the NFL. I feel like in this case, Michigan State kind of botched this hiring process where I think everybody thought Luke Fickell was the guy. He's doing great things in Cincinnati right now. Former Ohio State head coach and assistant coach. He coached at Michigan State at one point. Everyone thought, all right, this is the layup, easy gut, right? You know what I mean? And then when they couldn't get that, this feels like they had to backtrack a little bit. And when you hear all these names saying no, and then now you hire this guy, you're like, okay. I understand from a Michigan State perspective how it can be very hard to be excited about a guy who A, once turned you down one time, and then two, you hear the other names, and you go, wow, we could have gotten him, and they turned us down. What does that say about the state of the program? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I understand their reservations, Listen, you had Mark D'Antonio for a great run here, but before that, John L. Smith, that's a rough go. You had a lot of really bad head coaches here. Even Nick Saban didn't do a whole lot here at Michigan State. So, time will tell, obviously, to see where you'll be able to recruit. I think that's the one thing. You'll be able to recruit better than I think D'Antonio did. Do I think it's going to be a rough couple years, maybe? And especially if they don't have a quarterback or, some star player to kind of go out there. I don't think the defense is going to be anything spectacular. But it's going to be some rebuilding, I think, for Michigan State. I think you just got to be patient with it and kind of embrace the rebuild and then hope, in a couple of years from now, we'll be talking about, wow, remember that time we thought Luke Fickell was the greatest coach ever? And, we'll see where it goes. But interesting hire nonetheless. I don't think any Michigan State fan is necessarily excited, but Gotta let it see where it plays out, right? It could be a lot worse, I'll tell you that, because, you know what I mean? It really, really could be. All right, let's shift now from the college game for a second. Let's go to the pros. Let's talk Merkzone Mock Draft. Now, Mike, you were looking at this mock draft before we went on air, and you immediately flipped your lid, and then I asked you what was going on, and you would not tell me. So that makes me extremely nervous for a lot of reasons. So let's just go and jump right in. Is there any shock at 1 or 2?
There is.
Okay,
and
well, all right then. Well,
that's where you might get the heart attack a little bit.
Oh boy. All right, so number 1, I'm assuming, is the same.
Yes.
There's nobody's trading out of that spot, right? Okay.
Okay, so what happens is, this is also from Walter Football. They updated yesterday. So
okay, cool.
I said,
pretty up to date.
Yes. So at number 2, Miami trades up
with Washington.
With Washington.
Do we have compensation at all in this?
So they're gonna trade. So they swap picks.
Right. So all right. So Washington gets 5.
They get one of their. It looks like their 21 pick.
21st overall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a third round in this year, and
Yeah.
then next year's third round also.
That's a pretty nice haul, honestly.
Yeah, they got, and the reasoning. So they have a long reasoning, but basically after reading it, they think that if they trade at 3. There still could be a team that wants him more to trade up at 2 and hop
the Lions.
So then they give up all these assets and everything to
and
the
they don't
Lions
even get their guy.
and don't get their guys. So they're going to 2, knowing that their number 1's probably going to be Burrow. That they can guarantee that they'll get their guy at 2.
Right. Now the combine is coming up quick here, right? And I'm extremely excited about it. We'll talk about that when the time comes. But in your opinion, is there any? Because you're my quarterback guy, right?
Yes.
So. Is there any way at all, and I probably asked this before, is there any chance that Miami falls in love with Herbert over Tua? In any chance? Because I feel like that's the only way this bites the Lions in the butt a little bit, is that for whatever reason, like they fall in love with Herbert, and then they go, okay, what's wrong with Tua? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like one of those cases where he kind of falls like Haskins did last year?
I don't believe so, and I only say it because I don't think Herbert is as mobile as Tua is.
Right.
I think you really like his precision passing. I think he passes better than Herbert, and I think he's more athletic, even though he does have more injury problems. I think he's more athletic than Herbert. So I think like if you're giving Herbert like a B or B plus in the combine with his stuff, you're just giving Tua like an A minus,
right?
Because he just does everything just that much better than Herbert. Where I think that you take him,
and I think it benefits the fact that Mahomes won the Super Bowl this year, right? And you see a guy who plays a similar style, who doesn't do most of his damage in the pocket. He rolls and then he chucks a deep bomb. Same thing with like Russell Wilson had a great year this year. Aaron Rodgers does a lot of damage, out of the pocket, right? You don't see very many true pocket passers coming out anymore, number 1, and number 2, having the success anymore, right? Like, I think Jake Fromm is a more pocket guy, right? So, and I think that's why, unless he's got elite arm strength, I don't think he goes as high as, maybe people thought originally.
Yeah, because you can argue, okay, maybe Jake Fromm might have maybe a better arm than Justin Herbert if you want to argue.
But if you're
just stationary, you're already losing half the stuff that other quarterbacks have, where Herbert can move, and that's why, you got
a guy like Josh Allen, he's a perfect example. Did not have the best arm, right, as far as accuracy. He could throw it a mile, but couldn't hit, couldn't hit a pool, but he's an athletic freak, right, who can run people over. Cam Newton, another guy, very similar build, right? You don't see many Brady's, Peyton Manning's, Drew Brees' anymore. It's not the way of the NFL. It's not the way of college either.
That's why I would take Tua, and that's why they're jumping to get to number 2.
All right, this is good news then for the Lions, right? Because now you have all 4 top prospects available at your point, right? Chase Young, Jeff Okudah, Derek Brown, or Isaiah Simmons. So I'm assuming then this is a layup. The Lions are running up to the podium
and they take Chase Young at number 3.
Now that's fantastic, right? If Chase Young's your guy, if everyone thinks Chase Young is the best prospect, that especially non-quarterback prospect, this is a great scenario. I know a lot of people have come out and said, they would love the trade back. I'd love the trade back too. But if you think this guy is a transformative player for your defense, right, and you put him on the opposite side of Trey Flowers, and you think that he can then command a double team, which frees everybody else up, and you maybe don't have to rush eight or 9 guys, and you can rush 4 and be effective, then you need to take this guy. Is there for you any drawback whatsoever on not listing? Because I think personally, if Chase Young's there, I think they bleed the clock and then they take him anyway. But Is there any case outside of 17 first-round picks that you do not take Chase Young here at 3 and say you trade down with, say, Los Angeles? The Chargers try and trade because they freak out.
I would definitely trade down for multiple reasons. I think it would be hard because I think
if Chase Young is there,
if Chase Young is there, I think it's hard to not do it because. If it doesn't, that's one of those big risks where if it doesn't
if you
work,
trade out of that, you have this guy out of your pocket, and you're just like, no.
Because that's one of those screenshots 3 years later where you go, wow, you sat here and had Chase Young at 3, didn't take him.
It's Aaron Donald all over again.
Exactly. It's what it is.
Yeah.
So at that point, I wouldn't, just so you take the guy that everyone thinks is the guy. So even if he doesn't work out, you go, listen,
let's be fair, right? He's gonna run fast. Yeah. He's gonna be strong. He's gonna do everything.
He's 6'5", 265.
He's a genetic freak, right? He's gonna go out there and do exactly what Bosa did last year, where he's just gonna blow the combine out. I think there's several people, especially in the defensive side of the ball, outside of Burrow, right? And if Tua checks out medically, I think him, Simmons, I think Okuda. I think they're just gonna talk. You're gonna hear these words like, oh, look at his hips. His hips are so smooth. All these kinds of buzzwords that you hear around the combine. Everybody that we're talking about is going to grade out phenomenal at the combine unless somebody gets hurt. So I'm not worried about that. But, this dude's a specimen, clearly. I mean, he was a dominant force. He was in the running to be the Heisman winner. That's how dominant of a player he is. I don't think anybody's going to be mad about them taking him. But it does beg the question, though, if he does fall and say you don't take him, is it one of those scenarios where, like, all right, well, let's see how far he falls? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you never know. You truly never know. All right, let's continue. Lions take Chase Young. All right, so I'm assuming the Giants then are super thrilled at 4 because now they've got everybody.
Yeah, they can take anybody. They end up taking offensive tackle, Jedrick Willis out of Alabama.
Okay.
Best available to really help out that offensive line.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were very open. And now Washington, interesting spot because they need a defensive guy, but they also would be where the Lions would be if they trade down, where you have Okuda, Simmons, and whoever, but they take Jeff Okuda at number 5.
They do. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. We just heard Josh Norman got released, right? Mm-hmm. God, I'm so excited for free agency. I can't even tell you. But Okuda makes a lot of sense there. I thought another guy... Derek Brown doesn't fit that for me. Mm-hmm. I think Chase Young going to Washington is the only defensive lineman they take this high. You look at how much investment they already have in the D-line, right? You have a lot of first-round picks on that D-line right now. I think, there was a Deron Payne. They've got another guy, too, there. And then, you got Kerrigan still. You got pieces there on the defensive line. Montez Sweat. But in this case, right, I don't think Derek Brown fits. It wouldn't shock me to see if this were the way the situation plays out, Isaiah Simmons goes there, honestly, just because he's a playmaker, right? Mm-hmm. But that cornerback position right now is especially thin, so that's a solid pick for them. And the Chargers have got to be thrilled. A lot of teams, man, the top of this draft, man, if you like some of these guys that we're talking about, you've got to be outright giddy. Mm-hmm. At like 7 or 8, you got to be really happy.
Yeah. Number 6, the Chargers pick Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon.
That's probably one of their better scenarios, honestly, is if they don't have to give up any assets and you still get their quarterback for the future.
Number 7, Carolina Panthers take Derek Brown, defense tackle out of Auburn.
Absolutely thrilled with that.
I think this situation just makes the top 10. Everyone's just like, thank God, thank God, thank God.
Yeah, seriously, because it's like I bet everyone's got the same 4 or 5 guys, and they go, somebody take a quarterback. Somebody take a quarterback because it just drops everybody down one extra spot.
Yeah. Number 8, Arizona takes Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Ooh. Help out with that offensive line a little. Jacksonville takes Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama.
Oh my gosh. So Simmons, who's at 10?
The Browns.
The Browns are at 10.
Yes.
Right? The Browns could potentially get the best athlete in the draft at number 10.
And they don't
even take him, right?
They get Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle out of Louisville.
Wow. All right, so hold on. Just pause real quick. 3 offensive tackles within the top 10, right? Yes. If you are a top 10 team, now I get Cleveland has offensive line issues, clearly. A lot of them, right? But just think about that for a second. Is that you're in the top 10, and I am pissed if I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, because unless you are absolutely certain that that is the number 1 tackle in the draft, you have now taken the 3rd quote-unquote best tackle, right? And you had a top 10 pick, and you took the 3rd best guy on a potential draft board. Yeah. That is scary and frustrating.
Yeah. Well, you're going to hate this even more because the Jets at number 11 take Tristan Wilf's offensive tackle out of Iowa.
Yeah. No, see, that the Jets would be a team that I could see maybe not taking Simmons only because they have C.J. Mosley.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
But,
so that in itself. But if I'm the Jets, you know what I'm taking? I'm taking a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I'm taking a playmaker.
Yeah,
I'm taking somebody.
Lamb or
oh
something.
my gosh.
And then number 12, Las Vegas Raiders pick Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, see, and that's an easy layup, right? Especially if you think Derek Carr can still be your guy, you invested a lot of money. I'm guessing they're going to go after wideout at some point during the free agency. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah,
but if you think Gruden can make potato salad out of crap, then you obviously I think the fact that he goes 12 is mind-boggling there, and I think honestly, if you saw that, it would not shock me to see a team maybe trade down a little bit. I think the Jets would be a perfect team to trade down, still get a playmaker, and get a couple more picks, and then somebody trades up. I would not be shocked to see a team like New England make a move like that, especially if they sign a wide receiver or two in free agency to go, you know what? We'll give you our 1 and our 4 to move, or 1 and 3, because they're not super far back in the draft this year. They lost in the wild card round. They could easily make that jump 10 picks, give up a third, and go get Isaiah Simmons to fill the Jamie Collins and as another Dante Hightower. Mm-hmm. I mean, that seems like a pretty freaking layup to me. You know what I mean?
And here's just another 19. Las Vegas Raiders pick C.D. Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma.
Right, exactly.
Can we just talk about how the Raiders the last 2 years, if this theoretically would have happened, have the 2 best first rounds ever?
Right, yeah. I mean, honestly, the Cleveland Farrell thing is still yet to be determined, right? Mm-hmm. That one was a little bit of a shock that gave Lions fans hopes that they possibly could have got Josh Allen. But with that being said, it was extremely interesting to see how that kind of fared. So extremely interesting. Great mock draft, Mike, as always. All right, let's go to the break here. After the break, we're going to talk NCAA March Madness is right around the corner. We're going to talk NBA playoffs, and of course, we're going to talk about the WWE Network because we haven't talked about it in a while. So let's get our venting session caps right on track. All right, all that after the break. Stick around. And welcome back to part 2 of episode, 64 I think we're on now? Time is flying when you're having fun. We had to cut off there just for a little bit, just based off of the fact that we're running out of time on our video camera there as we post this on YouTube every Wednesday. But Mike, real quick before we go to the NCAA March Madness, who do the Lions take in round 2? I'm just curious about that. I cut you off a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's fine. They took J.K. Dobbins, so running back out of Ohio State.
Did they kind of elaborate at all on the rationale behind the pick? Do they just think that Kerryon can't stay healthy?
Yeah, they have, there's the injury worries, and all good teams have a 2-back system, so they think that having that second receiving back while Kerryon's the power back could be a nice 1-2 punch for them.
Boy, I'm not going to lie to you guys, man. I am not a high purveyor of a lot of resources into the running back room. However, Dobbins to me is a complete back. So if that were to be the case, I'm not going to lie. I would not be shocked to see a team maybe do something to get him in the late part of the first round, right? I think he's the best running back in the draft, in my opinion, right? I know a lot of people like Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, but to me, I don't see that being a thing. So I think that I definitely like Dobbins. Will people be thrilled with taking another running back in the second round? I don't know, but I think it'll be extremely, extremely exciting to see that come in. If that's the pick, it's Chase Young and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
Woo! Man, you guys have a hard time, convincing somebody else. All right, let's go right into now. Let's go to March Madness here. We are right around the corner. As of this recording, right by the time you guys are hearing this, the 17th of January. We're already halfway through February. I mean, it is absolutely crazy that March Madness is literally 2 weeks away. Mike, let's just go through here. We have the projected rankings, right? This is kind of the first time we've seen this come out. Right here. It's kind of pretty much, I would say, pretty close to what we're going to see in the actual bracket.
Yeah, it won't change too much, I don't think.
Okay, so let's just go through each region. Just give me the first 4 teams, I would say, probably. Is that fair? And then we'll talk, pretenders and stuff like that, and then we'll hit on Michigan State and Michigan.
Yep, so in the South Division, right now, they have the number 1 seed as Baylor, who's the number 1 team in college basketball right now. Mm-hmm. Maryland would be a 2 seed. Florida State would be a 3 seed, and Kentucky would be a 4 seed.
Okay.
And in here, Ohio State as a Big Ten team would be an 8 seed.
Okay. Yeah, what's crazy is that we talked about, Ohio State was on such a, a weird team. The whole Big Ten, right? Because at one point or another, like Michigan was, top 2, right? Ohio State was number 2 at one point. Maryland now is right up there,
Yeah,
so, so you see, Michigan State was the number 1 team in the country. A lot of craziness going on in the Big Ten right now. Let's jump to the next side.
So we're in the East Division. San Diego State at 25-0 would sit at the number 1 seed here. We have Duke at number 2.
We just saw that one coming.
I know.
San Diego State, crazy.
Seton Hall is at number 3, and Penn State rounds out at number 4, and we have Michigan at number 8 from the Big Ten, and Iowa's at number 6.
All right, so we're at 8 seed. Michigan is right now. With San Diego State though, man, what a weird I don't think anybody had that call going in.
Yeah.
So talk about it. I mean, they're undefeated right now too, which is crazy. All right, let's go to the next side.
All right, number 1 seed in the Midwest would be Kansas right now.
Okay.
You have Dayton at number 2. You have Auburn at number 3 and Villanova at number 4.
Okay.
And some Big Ten teams.
Villanova really bounced back, huh?
Villanova really did bounce back. Illinois will be sitting at number 7, and my Oregon Ducks will be sitting at number 5.
Your Oregon Ducks.
I love the Oregon Ducks.
I don't know. Is it just because for basketball too? Is it the uniforms? Or you just
I just like Oregon in general. Yeah, big fan.
Yeah, weird. All right, let's keep going. And then what do we got? The West left.
And then the West would be left. Gonzaga sits at the number 1 seed here. Louisville would be a number 2 seed. West Virginia would be a number 3 seed, and Butler would be a number 4 seed, with Michigan State as a 5, and Rutgers would be an 8 seed.
Ooh, all right, lots to unpack here. Just going over the top 4, right, on each side, right? So you got Kansas, you've got Gonzaga, you've got San Diego State, and you've got what's the last
Kansas?
one? No, I said Kansas. Kansas, Gonzaga. Oh, Baylor. I'm sorry. How did I figure the number 1 team in the country, right? Out of those 4 teams, is there a team that if you had to say, yep, if a number 1's going all the way, what's the team to you that you're most confident taking all the way through? By the way, we're going to do a whole March Madness episode, just so you guys know, a whole quick hitter. We did it last year, too. We basically make a bracket and we kind of pick each individual game and crown a national champion. So stay tuned for that.
Yep. I would take, as a betting man, I would take Gonzaga out of the West Division to go the farthest. I think their path to get there would be the easiest. You'd go through the 16 seed. You'd probably have to go through like a Rutgers or Oklahoma, eventually maybe get Louisville or Michigan State. But I think those are all very winnable games that you can get through. San Diego State, to me, I don't know, they don't really have that top tier division
as great a story as it is, especially now, say they go undefeated the rest of the way. I'd almost rather them lose.
Yeah.
Because then you're just you're like, dude, you got to go play perfect now again for the rest of this time. That's scary to me. Is there? Honestly, I think another team too that I always have a hard time believing gets the job done is Kansas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because they're always ranked high, right? Bill Self, and they've won the national championship before. But for me, they're always the team that gets to the Elite 8, right? And then they blow it in some way, shape, or form, right? They're always a dominant regular season team, but it just seems like they never have enough to truly get them over the hump. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is about March time, but it just doesn't feel like they ever can get the job done.
I think Baylor's also a very solid.
Yeah.
They'll play whoever they play as a 16, maybe Ohio State, maybe like a Colorado or something, but they have a relatively nice road to get to the end too.
Absolutely, for sure. We're not going to go over Final Fours or anything just yet. We basically want to give you guys just an outline of what we're seeing. Like I said, we're going to do a whole episode just on March Madness. Mike is a bracket guy, so we're going to break down all those matchups, 1 versus 16, all the way through to the national championship. Let's just talk real quick about Michigan State, and then we'll move on to the NBA playoffs here. Michigan an 8 seed right now. What do you think their ceiling is? We talked at the beginning of the year about how both Michigan and Michigan State at the time, they both look really good. You know what I mean? State at one point number 1 team in the country. Michigan gets a big couple wins over Gonzaga, right? And they were at one point the number 2 team in the country. 4, right? Is that what it was? So you see and you go, all right, and now they've kind of both fallen. They're not even ranked anymore. Michigan just getting a win over Michigan State, so they split that season series. Thoughts on Michigan first, Juwan Howard's first year. A lot of people didn't even think they would even make the tournament. I think they're going to be in it, but what, in your opinion, is their ceiling if you had one?
I think they probably get out, especially where they're put right now, probably the round of 32, playing the number 1 seed after the first set of games.
Yeah,
I don't think they have enough firepower to get out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd go round of 32 for them.
Yeah, I think it's hard with the 8, right? If they could get to like the 7, you know what I mean. I think they'd have
6. Or
I think you'd have just a little bit easier of a road getting a little bit farther.
You can even go down and go to like 10 and 11 and play the 5s,
right?
Because then the next games you're playing 4s instead of playing the 1 and 2s.
Yes.
So almost like the 8 and 9 is almost like a dead spot where you're like, oh yeah, you're gonna play the 9 seed and then the 1 seed, and you're like, well,
you're like, oh, great, yeah, thanks, yeah.
Exactly. That's not the best spot to be in.
Right, for sure. Now let's talk Spartans. They're ranked 5 right now, right?
Yes.
In their side. What is their Cassius Winston, Tom Izzo, March, it's a match made in heaven, it really is, right? What is their ceiling for you? Because, this is a team that everybody thought maybe this was another team that Izzo could finally get that all elusive second title with. We haven't seen that, right? You thought with Winston being here that would be a guy. This would be a team where you just go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it, and we're continuing to see ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of this team. Even with Izzo Magic, are they a team that they could make that surprise run like they did a few years ago when no one thought it was going to be a case? Or is this another case of Sweet 16 and out?
I think it's about Elite 8 now.
Okay.
I think you can ride Cassius Winston so far, but only having one primary guy to be your scorer can only get you so far.
Yeah.
I think you saw that kind of with Duke, where you really entrusted Zion and RJ Barrett to really kind of get you somewhere, and they can get you to Elite 8 Final 4, but then once you get there, it goes, okay, now you need the more complete team,
Right.
and I don't think they have
I need this other
team.
guy that maybe they're not accounting for to have a 20-point game.
Yeah, and I don't think State has that other guy yet.
Yes.
I just think it's like Cassius can put up 30 and the whole team together can play well, but that can only get you to about the Elite 8. Then when you have to play Gonzaga or you have to play Kansas or something who have multiple Cassius Winstons, I don't know how they're going to get through that. So about Elite 8.
And once again, it's one of those things to where, you never can count them out, right? Izzo is who he is for a reason, but man, it's a tough draw for them. All right, let's shift now from college. Let's go to the pros. We're talking NBA All-Star Game this weekend. Had a lot of good fun there. 3-point contest, dunk contest, all good times.
Yep.
I'm sure the All-Star Game went to 3,000 to 3,001 was the final score.
Probably.
But let's talk now. Let's talk contenders and pretenders here. We're at a point now, unlike a lot of other sports, you kind of see in the NBA where you kind of get a feel like, all right, like these teams are legitimately in a chase, right? And in very few sports you really get a, like, all right, we get a whole reset of the league here for a second. You can take a whole view and go, all right, who's in it? You know what I mean? The NFL's hard with all the different bye weeks. This is a clear cut, like, all right, we all have a week off. Let's go and let's take a true evaluation of the league. And Mike, in your opinion, how many teams, especially in the top halves of each conference, do you think legitimately have a chance to make an NBA Finals run? Maybe not necessarily an NBA championship, right?
Yeah.
But just an NBA Finals run.
I think there's about 5.
5 teams, right?
And maybe 6.
And what's crazy about that, right, is we talked about even at the very beginning of the NBA season where you go, wow, there's a lot of talent spread across a lot of different teams. However, what that has also led to is that you have a couple teams now, Milwaukee, LA, where you kind of go, all right, these teams just have a lot more talent. You know what I mean? Especially are top heavy on their rosters. What teams for you are in that 5 or 6 range?
Yep. So in the East, you ride with Milwaukee, who I think is the front runner favorite.
Oh yeah.
In the East,
absolutely.
I think you can put Boston in there. I think you have Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker. Enes Kanter's a nice big. I think you have enough pieces to maybe do an upset in a couple rounds and maybe fight Milwaukee. And if you can get there, you can have a good coaching versus them and have a good time. And possibly Philadelphia, because I think Philadelphia has the best starting unit when they're all playing together and in unison.
Yeah, and they're the 5th seed right now.
And they're a 5
crazy
seed. I think because when you look at Simmons, Embiid, Tobias Harris, Josh Richardson, Al Horford.
Yeah.
Like, that is a starting 5 where you go, where's your weakness?
Right.
Really. Besides Ben Simmons shooting, you don't really have...
And if he's playing point...
Yeah, and he's playing point guard and he's passing around the ball to other people, it's like, who do you not guard?
Right.
You know what I mean? So you don't have, if you have one bad defender on your team, like if you're Miami, you're like, oh, our shooting guard's not the best defender,
Right.
You have guys who can play.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I think those are the three teams in the East. And then my 3 teams in the West would be the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, right? Because Denver is still a team that nobody is talking about.
No.
Even now, they're the number 2 seed in the West, right? They're above the Clippers even, and nobody's talking about them. You can't. I bet people can't name 3 people on the Denver Nuggets right now.
Probably not.
You know what I mean? So, and that's how low key they have been.
Yeah.
Are they a Western Conference, or are they? Or do you think they could actually pull off an upset and get there? Because that would mean at some point they could possibly play both LA teams theoretically.
I mean, I don't. Now, I'm not saying I don't know if they'll get through them.
Yeah.
I think if you talk, I don't think anyone in the West can beat the Clippers or the Lakers.
Yeah, outside of each other.
Outside of each other, and maybe Denver. I think Denver can upset one of the 2, or even both.
Right.
But the bottom 5 teams, I don't like. I think like Lakers play Memphis. Okay, Dallas plays Denver, and the Clippers play OKC. I think those are all. You already know what's going to happen and stuff.
Exactly.
But those are the only 3 teams in the West. And I really do think it's the LA chase to get there. But I think if you're going to add a 3rd team, I think Denver is a team that you could talk about to get there.
Right. If you had to pick, right, let's just say, who comes out of the East, who comes out of the West, if you had to pick right now, who are the 2 teams? Is it Milwaukee by a runaway? Or do you think that they face some more adversity than they probably did? I mean, obviously Toronto had the upset last year, right? But Toronto, I don't think gets there this year. I don't think they have enough.
No, Toronto's probably a semifinal out. I think you can get through Brooklyn, but I think you get stopped after that. I think Milwaukee can get troubled by a Boston because you can get outcoached, or Philadelphia because you can get outmanned.
Yeah.
I think the Bucks are in a perfect spot where, especially when you play the East, they're so much better than the bottom 12 teams in the East. And you play them 4 times, so that's 50 wins right there. And then you play the bottom teams of the West twice, so you could get to 60 wins just by, and you don't even have to beat a top 10 team there.
Right.
So I think you could just roll through that, but I think they can have matchup troubles with Philly and coaching troubles with Boston, but I do think that they can get through them.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be sweep finals.
Right.
I think Boston can take them 5 or 6, and Philly can take them 6.
Right.
Also.
Do you think, just real quick, just to kind of harbor on Philly just for a second here, do you think this is like a make or break year for Philadelphia, just a little bit? And the only reason why I say this because you went through so many years of just being awful, right? And like you really embraced the tank to get to where you're at now, right? But you got a lot of resources, invest in a lot of guys, you know what I mean? And I feel like they've underachieved a little bit, for what they have. I mean, how many more years do you think that people can go, oh yeah, Philadelphia's not... Like, it's now to the point where it's like, you kind of, at some point, you better be favorites to win this thing.
I think
and I don't think they're not, still.
I think after this year, if they don't win or go very far to like an Eastern Conference playoff, I think you could probably get rid of Embiid or Simmons, whichever one you don't like more.
Right.
And I think that really hampers the team a lot. So I think this is their make or break year because there have been trade rumors that Joel Embiid go to Miami and stuff, and Ben Simmons going somewhere else. Like this could really break up their core. Right, exactly.
So, and you've got a lot of money invested in Tobias Harris. You signed Al Horford. Like you signed these guys, and you're like, man. At some point, it's got to come together, right? And it really has. And I think their coach gets fired if they don't make a run. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, last year didn't they get upset last year?
No, they lost to the Raptors in 7 because of that four bounce.
Right. Yeah, I got you. Right. So, but still, to me, it just goes. At some point, it's got to come together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like, my goodness. It's kind of like the Dodgers for me in baseball. It's like, you get all this talent, payrolls through the roof. You make it to the World Series a couple times, you just can't get the job done.
You just gotta do it.
Just get it done at this point. Are the Lakers still the front runner for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They just need to cut a couple guys out of the rotation, and that's gonna come down the line.
You just need to stop playing, some of you.
No, like I think there's some.
I get it. Like Rondo, I don't think should see the floor at all.
And I think it's because early in the season you're doing 10 9-man rotations to keep everyone kind of healthy, fresh. But once you get close to the playoffs, you're gonna have an 8-man rotation.
I'm dying over. I just feel like it's just like they're gonna do a lot better if they stop playing some of you.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine having that conversation? Like, Frank Vogel goes in, listen, Rondo, I really appreciate what you did. We're going to stop playing you, though, for, like, the next month and a half. Sound good? Cool. Don't say anything. All you're there for is to pass out drinks and to give high fives.
Yes. Listen, their core 8 that they're going to work off of with Avery Bradley, Danny Green, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and JaVale McGee, with Dwight Howard, Kuzma, and Caruso coming off the bench, with KCP even. Yeah. That's a very solid 8 or 9 guys that you're going to go with.
Caruso's taking your spot, just so you know.
Yeah. Alex Caruso's very good right now. It's insane.
It just makes me laugh.
I think the Clippers, their only trouble that they're having is none of them are healthy.
I know.
I think it's interesting because going in, everyone went, can Anthony Davis stay healthy? Can LeBron stay healthy after the groin and everything? Yep. And then no one's even looking at Kawhi's missed 18 games, Paul George missed 23 games, and Lou Williams missed 4 games here. Like, these guys haven't played together
at all
right yet. So their chemistry's going to be off going into the playoffs, and they just don't know how to play together.
I completely understand for sure. Absolutely. No, the reason we're breaking this down, right, especially the Pistons are in tankathon mode, clearly, so there's no real point in talking Pistons basketball right now unless something crazy happens. But we're getting down to the nitty gritty here next couple weeks where you're really it's flushing out real quick. So NBA playoffs are right around the corner. We're gonna see a lot of really great matchups. I'm excited for it. All right, let's talk now. Let's shift. We've kind of started this tradition now on the show where we kind of usually, unless something big happens, to kind of end the show on a wrestling topic. So let's do that again today. We're talking the WWE Network. Now, there's been some talk last earnings call with the WWE about the WWE Network, the subscriber count, and that Vince McMahon also mentioned the potential of WWE possibly selling the rights to the streaming services for their major pay-per-views. Now, that would mean basically, shows like SummerSlam, WrestleMania, possibly the Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. Those are the core 4. You can maybe even see more than that. Shifting off of the WWE Network to another streaming service like Amazon. I've heard HBO has been in talks, right? And it's supposed to be, if anything does happen, it'll be announced some point sooner rather than later. Yeah. In your opinion, Mike, does that completely defeat the purpose of owning the WWE Network? Because personally, if they got rid of those shows, whether they're good or not is not the point. There's not enough around for me to subscribe continuously throughout the year. After that,
I agree. I think when they started the network, I think it was a very good idea to have, because you put NXT strictly on the network with their takeovers. Right. So if you're an NXT fan, that's why you got it. You put the pay-per-views on, and they even had good originals, like you have your 24 series and 365 that you
absolutely.
But you also had the countdowns and the rivalries and all these different shows that they would do. Right. So then you're like, oh, I have a massive amount of content that I can watch and keep me wanting to go.
Content. So even all the old stuff.
Even if you got rid of pay-per-views, if you still did rivalries once a month, and you did this show once a month, and you did more 24s, and you did more documentaries with having takeovers and stuff still on the network, I think that would be enough. But they stopped doing all these documentary series. All they have is Ride Along going still, which I find amazing that that's the one that they stuck with.
There's a lot of stuff that they haven't. I mean, they do the 365 once a year, and then these 24/7s they don't do nearly as much.
They don't do nearly as enough, and then they stopped doing countdowns and rivalries and all the podcasts.
I haven't seen an original remember they used to do all of the individual guy documentaries, the 2-3 hours. You did Bret Hart.
They also did WrestleMania Rewind.
Right. Exactly. And we don't get any of that anymore. So, it's all gone.
So that's the reason why NXT's now on live TV.
Right.
So you can either record it or watch it live on USA Network.
Exactly.
So I think for all of those reasons, I think there's not enough. Because now the only thing that's keeping you on is, okay, now I get my monthly pay-per-view, and you don't really watch much after that, but now you take that off, so you all the bases that you put the network on, you don't have any of that working for you anymore.
Exactly.
Besides takeovers, which I feel like a takeover.
Yeah, but fine. If you want to watch the takeover, fine. I'm going to pay $10 to watch the takeover event, and I'll have it for the month or whatever.
And then I'm
done. And then I'm done until exactly. So I have no incentive otherwise. You're not putting on enough good original content, and you're not putting out enough just good content alone. Yeah. I can honestly say there were years where I'd want to watch a Backlash. I would have paid the $59 to watch a Backlash pay-per-view, right? There were years where I would have done that. Now, no freaking way. It ain't happening, right? We even do this show every week, and that's part of our responsibility on this show is to watch as much as we can and get as much content and do all these things. I still ain't happened. I'll read you the results off Wikipedia. I'll read reviews, and I'll go, all right, I'll get highlights somewhere. I ain't paying for it, all right? This is not happening. You get rid of WrestleMania and those kind of shows, I'm out.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a guy who, I love wrestling. I'll watch it till the day I die, but you're not selling me on paying $10 a month for nothing. I'm not paying for crap. I don't need to see Raw replays from 2 weeks ago. That's not why I'm coming to the dance. You know what I mean? So if there is some, unless I go to like an Amazon Prime, but once again, you're forcing people now to pick another thing. It just doesn't. I don't see it making a lot of long-term sense for the average fan, right? The average fan maybe doesn't buy the WWE Network. It's the fan that wants everything. I want the old stuff. I want the new stuff. I want everything in between. Give me it. Don't mess with it. It's finally at a point now where I feel like everyone's like, okay, the network's cool.
Yeah.
Like we're good. Like there's not buffering issues up to Wazam. I'm gonna say that, and we're gonna watch Takeover tonight, and it's gonna be a disaster. But there's not a lot of performance issues or whatever. It's just there, and it's there, and it's reliable. And we can watch whatever we want when we want to watch it. Don't mess with a good thing. All right, just don't. All right, just leave it alone, please. Love God. That's all I gotta say. All right, that is gonna be it for this week's episode. Next week, obviously, we're gonna talk the fallout from NXT. Of course, we'll have another Merkzone Mock Draft. Lots of potential other topics coming your way next week. For the Missing Whaleman, for the Merkzone.
Yeah.
I'm the Mouth of Michigan, and we will see you guys, as always, next time.